Macarons like you've never tasted before at Nicolette's Macarons in Plymouth. These elegant French macarons are perfect for gifts, corporate events, or just for yourself. Located conveniently off 169 in Plymouth. Stop in today or shop online at nicolettesmacarons.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, Progressive Voice of Minnesota, and airing on WCPTA 20, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Welcome to The Gailey Show. I am John Parker, in studio with my executive producer, Jim Pounds.
Hey, all.
Also live streaming on our YouTube channel. If you like what we're doing, click like, subscribe, and leave us a comment. You can hear some background noise right now because we are going to go to Washington, D.C. Brianne Brinker is an assistant athletic director at the collegiate level and author of the memoir Skating Out of the Vault. Today, the Supreme Court is hearing two cases related to transgender athletics at all levels of education. Brianne was there for the case today. Brianne, welcome back to the Gailey Show.
Thank you. Appreciate being here.
All right, so tell us what you saw and heard today.
Well, frankly, it was a bit of a difficult day. I tried to get into to see the case itself, and there was a big line. I didn't get there in time. The line started really, really early. There were two rallies again. It was a big case, and I didn't get in for the first case, and that took 2 hours. Usually it's like 1 hour and then 1 hour. This took 2 hours just in and of itself, and but we listened to it on the stream outside and among us. And then the second one, I was the seventh in line at that point, and they took 5, so I was 2 off, and I didn't even get a chance to get in. So I sat there that whole time, but I went over to the rally and so forth. But it just seemed to me, with this, it's going to be a long shot with the 6-3, Supreme Court. I mean, you just get that feeling, and but it was. The whole day seemed to be you're talking about men playing women's sports and boys playing girls sports, and that's the whole thing. The first case was the girl from Idaho who's in college, and she had tried playing, running cross country for a couple of years, quit. And then played couple club sports, did running and did, I think, soccer or something like that. And so, they wanted to get this off because, well, the plaintiff quit, the plaintiff, gave up basically. And it's not that so much she gave up. She just got tired of the game. And she basically was going to drop the case because by the time it was, she wouldn't have much left. And, she was pretty freaking worn out because this stuff I can't imagine what these kids go through. So, and they said, no, that's not the case. It's still a case, whether the main subject of the plaintiff is in or out. So they went with it, and it was what you expect, when Judge Sotomayor was asking questions. She wanted to get out of them that the trans women kind of belong there. They wanted to provide the area where they could talk about why the trans girl belongs there, why it's not that big of a huge advantage, and the other ones were, they had some pretty good questions. I mean, it wasn't as though it was, if I didn't know any better, and I didn't know who was talking in some cases, that the kid I was listening with, he knows all the voices. He listens a lot more than I would. And so he was telling me what was, who was talking and stuff. But I think, other than, Thomas, and they were at least fair questions. It seemed to me the second case, which is the West Virginia case, the girl was just in middle school when they were going through all of this, and with these, I think the girl's 15 now, Becky, and they're that one, they kind of seem to come out after after West Virginia. I mean, this one just seemed different. It's a bit of a different case. Same subject matter, same same similar premise, and I don't know all the jargon or anything, but it was, they kind of came after them. They challenged them to, make a case that why they're not considered an actual plaintiff. I mean, why should they just be discarded here? And most of both cases, they kept bringing up Title IX. It's a Title IX thing, Title IX thing, Title IX thing, and the defense or the states kept going back to it's Title IX. We'd be breaking Title IX rules and laws, and so you can't have the women. But then the other side saying, well, yeah, it's a Title IX issue because there's the student can't participate with who they're supposed to be with. So I don't know exactly where that's going to go, and I actually have a hunch where it's going to go. So yeah, that was kind of difficult. The second one I didn't hear much of, but I heard the first part, and they were kind of going after that person. But then I went over to the rallies.
Observers of the court, have said the outcome is this court is so anti-trans that the outcome is foregone conclusion even before the oral arguments happen. So as I was going through the updates, I couldn't follow and listen to it today, prepping for the shows, unfortunately. But it was interesting how they were kind of challenging West Virginia there. But based off of the totality of it, I'm curious, being where you were outside of the court, listening with others, what were you hearing from folks that were there?
Interesting. When I was in line with a lady, looked older than I was, but just seemed to kind of know her stuff. And it turned and with a couple other girls that are legal, they're in first, second year law school. And then they really had no opinion. They just wanted to go see a case. They haven't been seeing a case yet. And the other lady was there to go right against me, basically. We didn't know it at first. We were just talking about who can get in and things like that. And it turns out she happened to be a basketball player at Stanford. And when women's sports were really not looked after at all, and this lady was a pioneer, really, and just spoke up, and after graduation played in France and really spoke up for the Title IX and wanted to was kind of instrumental trying to get the Stanford women's basketball team into the bigger arena where the other ones played instead of like a little cracker box practice place, and so she's been a pioneer and been an athlete all her life, and so she was an interesting person. And then she says, well, do you we got to talking. I said I was an athlete, and well, you think you're a woman? You really feel you're a woman? I said, yes, I do. What makes you think that? Because I am. I knew it since I was 5, and kind of went over it, and she came at me with a bit of a kind of pointed, she kind of walked away and started talking to somebody else, and we got back, and it turns out she does a Substack, and she writes, and she does, she's a pretty good person. She's a lesbian. She's Democrat. She just doesn't think, I'm a woman. She thinks I'm a man and I don't belong. And what I was trying to get across to everybody, and this was the most interesting. This is an interesting one to me because what I wanted to get to them is, listen, I understand that men just can't go play women's sports, but what I want to do is try to debunk the myth that guys are getting cut from men's teams and then just going and saying they're trans and going to play with women's sports. That doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't happen ever. And so that's what I wanted to debunk. I wanted to be there. I wanted to show up for those people and to keep this a keep this, I want to give some hope to people like us. Is what I really wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
I was a little surprised, if I can ask a question. I was a little surprised that Kavanaugh was making a point that, well, I used to coach basketball, girls basketball, and if some girl would not get on some team because of this, that would be bad. But I don't understand why somebody doesn't have those statistics. In other words, why is he speculating about someday something might happen in Oz, and why is that the basis for an argument as opposed to here are the statistics about what he's talking about? Because I think most of that is just fear mongering, which is what they usually do.
100%. That's it. It's the other people I was talking to and about, I did about 3 different podcast hits, and because I go to the other side and I talk to them, and I want to hear them out, and if they ask, if it's a respectful conversation, I'm all for it. And I tell them, well, I do think that the boys have to suppress, before they the transition, and I think if they do, then it's and the younger they do it, the better. Obviously, because we're talking about a pretty young girl here that didn't go through puberty, through puberty, and so I think that is exact. I think that girl did exactly what she should do. She should go through and suppress. If you know, and some people take a lot longer to figure that out. It took me a lot longer because I didn't have Supreme Court cases for transgender people. That the word wasn't even there. I didn't have that language, but these kids do.
Yeah.
And they know what they're feeling. They know what it is. They see people, it's in our society now. And it's the scary thing is, they just want to keep beating people down. What I heard from the rallies, their side was all about their men playing in girl sports. Mm-hmm. That was what it all came down to in Title IX this and Title IX that. And so they're all men, and they're cutting people's genitals off at a young age, and they're destroying people's bodies with all these hormones and all this stuff, and then all the rhetoric. It's all there.
Because I have to hit a break here. Can you stick around with us? I have to keep this up because I want to hear what happened at the rallies. So we're going to take a quick break here. We are talking with Brianne Brinker, who serves as an assistant athletic director at the collegiate level, author of the memoir Skating Out of the Vault, was in D.C. outside the Supreme Court today for those 2 cases. We're going to have more with Brianne and what she saw there when we come back. You're listening to AM 950 KTNF and WCPT 820. More after this break.
All right.
Hi, I'm Jay from Greenhouse Salon and Shop. If your current salon experience feels rushed or impersonal, come feel the difference at Greenhouse. Our artists create personalized styles in a warm, inclusive space, and our shop is full of unique gifts from local women makers. See some of what's in store and book your appointment online at greenhousebrynmar.com. Better yet, stop by 403 Cedar Lake Road South in the quaint Bryn Mawr neighborhood of Minneapolis. Greenhouse, where every client feels cared for.
Theater in the Round Players is kicking off the year with a beautiful new production of How to Catch Creation. It's a soulful drama centered on the powerful legacy of a Black feminist writer from the 1960s. Her story reaches across time, weaving together the lives of 4 artists searching for art, family, and a place to belong. You'll be captivated by this profound exploration of identity. Experience How to Catch Creation at Theater in the Round, January 16th through February 8th. Tickets at theaterintheround.org.
In today's uncertain times, Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces believes that a fire can add comfort and security to your life. At Woodland, our mission is to connect you to a place for fire that works.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces installed our wood stove years ago, and we still love it. Watching the fire, feeling the heat, is a joy we experience every day. And knowing we have a reliable heat source makes us feel snug and safe.
There are many choices in wood, gas, or electric. For diversity and styles, at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we display over 180 models and 35 that of these are burning displays. You can experience the glow and warmth of a live fire.
Whether wood, gas, or electric, find a fire that warms your heart, a fire that adds comfort and security to your life. See the many choices at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, located on the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis, and online at woodlandstoves.com.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces since 1977. For over 48 years, our slogan has been, out of the ordinary products and services. Our mission is to get you a fireplace that works in your life.
Hi, I'm Mary Lee. I'm a proud supporter of AM 950 because this station shares the values that I care about most: community, connection, and making a difference. Just like AM 950, I believe in using our energies, our resources, and our voices to lift up others. That's why I started the Mary T. Scholar Program at the University of Minnesota College of Education and Human Development, providing graduate students with internships internationally. For over the past 10 years, our students have served communities in Laos, Cambodia, Nepal, India, Cameroon, and Thailand, gaining experience and helping people in ways that really make a difference. Supporting AM 950 fosters conversation, awareness, and action in our communities. It's about shared values and believing that together we can make a difference. Visit maryt.com to learn more about the work that we do.
Welcome back to the Gailey Show. I am John Parker here with my producer on the bottom of the hour. Brianne Brinker is an assistant athletic director at the collegiate level and author of the memoir Skating Out of the Vault. She was outside the Supreme Court today during the legal arguments in two cases related to transgender athletics. Brianne, we were talking before the break about what you were seeing and hearing from folks who were gathered outside at the rallies and the protests. Do you want to pick it up there?
Yeah, I was mentioning the our opposition, basically the people that don't believe that trans girls are girls, and it was all their messaging was all about. It was all about either men are invading our spaces, and men are taking our places, and men are, boys and men are stopping us from teams, and they come up with all these numbers that of people that they're affecting, all this kind of thing, and the and it's either that or they're brainwashing these kids into changing their bodies, and they're having all these surgeries, they're lopping off boobs to go play all this sort of stuff, all this stuff that there were a couple speakers that spoke some sense, but most of it was that type of rhetoric. Sadly, that group outnumbered our group this year. Well, last year when I went for a case, and it was quite lively, and we had by far the bigger crowd. This one, not so much, and I think that I didn't see as many kids. Last year I saw a lot of kids. This year not so much, and I reckon it's because this just they thought that it's a long shot. Frankly, the side of our side, basically a lot of the speeches and the all of that was going on was about this. This is who we are. This is we do belong here, and it's about the other side controlling us. They're trying to eliminate trans people altogether. And it's not about sports. Like the message that kept coming up over and over and over again was, it's not about sports. This is just one thing that they can pick off, and then they're going to keep going. They're going to keep keeping us out of the bathrooms. They're going to keep us out of schools. They're going to keep us from all that kind of thing, and trying to really eliminate our rights, basically. And so that is the big message that we, and not so much. There was a couple one student who was a college student who was brilliant and an absolutely amazing speech. She was a track runner, a track athlete, and just talked about how amazing her experience is, how she it really enhances her entire life to be able to be involved with, be among all of her teammates and have her teammates just treat her like everybody else and all those kinds of things. I think that was really, really good. However, I just, you just can't get that a man is playing against a girl and, safety. It just goes back to that, with the other side, it's safety. I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to be, in people's spaces. And the one person I was telling you about earlier, basketball, and because we got to talking, and I said, no, I understand, we should have to suppress and we should have to do that. I'm fine with it. I said, but but what's next here? Like, am I not going to be able to travel because I'm trans? Am I not going to be able to get a passport? Am I not? Because that's what they're talking about. They're talking about, kind of really dehumanizing us. I said, just treat me like a person, treat me like, but yeah, you asked me if I use the women's spaces. I said, I do. I said, I do go. The restrooms, yeah, I use the women's restroom every time. She goes, well, that's where I have a problem. I said, well, what's your problem? And I just don't feel comfortable with men's bodies. And I said, how many men's bodies have you seen in a women's bathroom? And that's always my question. How many penises have you seen in a women's? How many vaginas have you seen in a women's bathroom? Mm-hmm. Zero. They're all stalls. Women's bathrooms have all stalls for for people that've never been in one, right? So you just don't. It just doesn't happen. And I've brought that up so many different people, and they said, "Oh yeah, I guess I don't. I don't want my daughter, so penis." I said, "Well, how many penises have you seen?" And I said, in this whole bit about men wanting to dress up like a girl and go into a women's bathroom because they think they're not doing that. They're just going in. If they want to go and do something bad, they're going to go in and do something bad. They're not going to waste time going to get a dress.
Yeah.
They're just not going to do that. So that's kind of that's where it was. I mean, in a nutshell, that's kind of where it was. And the 3 podcasts I did 3 just different ones. They asked if they could talk to me. I obviously looked trans to them and was dressed for it, which is fine. But and the one was actually trans herself, but just asks. Just does a podcast, just goes to every type of rally to ask different sides. But the other ones were all about, well, when men go and they play and so I said, they're not men. I said they're women, they're girls, and that's they just want to continue that narrative that it's men in there, that they're men, they're male, they're there's testosterone and everything else, and I even brought. Go ahead.
And their whole argument yes, for trans people, but also for all queer people, is that it's a choice. It's not real. There is no biological reality. When I hear queer people say that about trans people, and here we have a lesbian basketball player trying to tell you that, and I'm like, and they're telling you that you're not a lesbian. They're telling you you're making a choice. They don't believe you that you are actually queer. So it is this refusal, whether they're trying to refuse science or they're trying to distort their religious text. It's just this constant disbelief that queer people exist, and they just don't want to do it.
Right. That's it right there. They just don't want to. I don't think they want to believe it. I had one guy ask me, what my thoughts were and this and that. And he says, "Then, well, do you believe in Jesus Christ? Do you have a relationship with God?" Like, oh, no.
Here we go.
Jesus Christ died a long time ago. It's pretty well documented.
Yeah.
And then everybody says, "Well, Jesus loves you." Well, Jesus is dead.
Boy. Okay. Well, Brianne, thank you so much. I have to hit another commercial break. Thank you so much for joining us here today and sharing your experiences there. Please buy Brianne's book. It's called Skating Out of the Vault. We'll have links in the show notes on our website to do that. Brianne, I hope we'll be in conversation again with you very soon.
Hope so too. Appreciate it, guys.
All right. We're going to have more with the Gailey Show after this quick break. Thank you.
Hi, Minnesota. Stephanie Miller here. Join me every weekday morning from 8 to 11 for a humorous look at politics and current events on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been telling you about my friends at Snap Construction, who are arguably the most well-reviewed exterior construction company in the metro. Don't just take my word for it. Take a look at all their reviews online. Winter is the most cost-effective time of the year to complete your construction project. A majority of Minnesotans choose to have their work completed on their home in the summer when they should be enjoying the weather. As a result, the demand for labor in the summer is much higher. The most cost-effective way to improve or restore your home is in the winter due to the lower demand. Right now, Snap Construction is offering an additional 30% off of labor to the AM 950 listeners on your next construction project between now and the end of February. Call 612-333-SNAP. and mention AM 950 for an additional 30% off. As always, Snap Construction stands by their work with a lifetime craftsmanship warranty. Don't wait to get a free estimate by calling 612-333-SNAP or find them online at snapconstruction.com. Financing options available.
Theater in the Round Players is kicking off the year with a beautiful new production of How to Catch Creation. It's a soulful drama centered on the powerful legacy of a Black feminist writer from the 1960s. Her story reaches across time, weaving together the lives of 4 artists searching for art, family, and a place to belong. You'll be captivated by this profound exploration of identity. Experience How to Catch Creation at Theater in the Round, January 16th through February 8th. Tickets at theaterintheround.org.
Hi, this is Frank Brown of Minuteman Press Uptown with a question for our listeners. How important are business values to you? When you need high-quality digital print, it matters who you work with. You see, Minuteman Uptown is unique. We're one of the only union print shops in Minnesota providing our team with living wages and benefits. We believe in second chances for justice-impacted individuals who want to contribute to the community, and we are active in local issues. We've been in the streets standing up for racial, social, and economic justice. At Minuteman Uptown, our mission is to connect all communities through technology-driven print solutions. An example of that mission is when I moved Minuteman Uptown to North Minneapolis. We're invested in this local community, and we help small businesses and local organizations throughout the Twin Cities reach their audiences. Reach out to Minuteman Uptown and partner with a printer that shares your values. Call us today at 612-870-0777 or visit us at mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for cloudy skies today with a high near 46, tonight cloudy with a low around 13, and Wednesday sunny with a high near 19. Looking for a treat? Discover macarons like you've never tasted before at Nicolette's Macarons in Plymouth. These elegant French macarons are perfect for gifts, corporate events, or just for yourself. Located conveniently off 169 in Plymouth. Stop in today or shop online at nicolettesmacarons.com.
AM 950 KTN up, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Coming to you from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and airing on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Welcome back to The Gailey Show. I am John Parker. It is 33 minutes after the hour in studio with my executive producer, Jim Pounds. Also live streaming on our YouTube channel. If you like what we're doing there, click subscribe and leave us a comment. How are you liking what we are doing here on the show? Again, I want to give my thanks to Brianne Brinker, author of Skating Out of the Vault, for joining us today, sharing her very valuable time being outside of the Supreme Court on another historic day. It's a historic legal day. And again, the observers of the court are very clear. This is a very anti-trans majority on the court. So it's very disheartening when we see these things where, these conclusions just seem foregone before the oral arguments begin. But some lighthearted stuff here because we need to do some self-care. and we need to support local artists who are doing good work. And so we've got some ticket giveaways, free tickets to give away for folks in the Twin Cities during the 2 p.m. hour. So Jim, can you let us know what those are?
Yeah, we kind of have dueling ticket giveaways, which is exciting. The first thing I'll offer are 2 tickets to see White Christmas at Chanhassen Dinner Theater. This runs until February 7th. So, this is their big holiday show. It gets a little bit of a drop off after the holidays, but still it's a great show. It's been very successful for them for a couple of years. So if you call 952-946-6205, Patrick will talk to you and get your phone number and email and name. And then we will send you a coupon, which you actually use to call the box office. That's how that happens. These tickets are like,
and the reason why you do that is that you get to pick
the
your date.
Yeah. Subject to availability.
So it's not like we're giving away tickets for this Friday.
Right.
We have to give you that coupon so you can call them and say, this is the date that I want to go. So you get to pick that date and you get free dinner, folks.
Yeah. They're worth about $107 each. So that would be an easy
free
one.
Dinner.
The other thing we're offering is Ride the Cyclone at Lyric Arts. If you have not been up to Lyric Arts, a former movie theater in Anoka, it's really charming. And they're doing this kind of seldom done musical. It's a little 7-person musical called Ride the Cyclone. And it's mystical and it's young teenagers singing about their life. It reminds me of Spring Awakening in a way. I'm going to go see it on like the 9th of February or 8th of February, something like that. The one thing about these tickets, and they're worth about $57 a piece, is that you need to go this Sunday at 2:00, which, I don't watch football, so I don't care. I'd be happy to go on a Sunday at 2:00. So when you call Patrick at 952-946-6205, you can ask for either of those. Ride the Cyclone at Lyric Arts, White Christmas at Chanhassen Dinner Theater.
952-946-6205. First callers will get those. We've got a pair for each, right?
That's correct.
All right. So if you are the literal first caller, we're going to have to ask, are you White Christmas or are you going for Ride the Cyclone? So call in now, folks. I need to give these tickets away in the next half hour. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. All right. Turning to Minneapolis headlines today. We have a couple of events that have been canceled due to ICE-related activities. So Mortimer's and Minneapolis has postponed their Gothis-hosted party that was supposed to be this Friday, the 16th of January. It has now been postponed to a later date. So you can check Mortimer's website as well as their social media to find out when that is going to be rescheduled. And then Springboard for the Arts, the Winter Whirl was going to be on Saturday, January 17th, and this has been canceled. So that will not be happening today. It is a long list now, and so I don't want to read all of them, but Bring Me the News has a full list of business closures and event cancellations specifically for today, January 13th. So we recommend, this is a really great media service that Bring Me the News is doing for folks. So you can head there. Do not assume that a restaurant that you are going to or a business that you are going to is open. This is a reality that we're having to live with here in the Twin Cities right now. So please, check in with the business's social media or their website and see, are you operating today? And, if they are, particularly for immigrant-owned businesses, we need to find ways of supporting them and showing them that we are better than ICE here
Which
in
isn't
Minnesota.
very hard to be better than
and what
ICE.
they are doing is not Minnesota nice, even though, Minnesota nice can be. It can be things. I also wanted to take a look here at some of the raids that can be happening. So at 1:30 this afternoon, there was some ICE activity in downtown Minneapolis. Still trying to confirm if there was an arrest made there. Also, just 10 minutes before that, at 1:20, that Justice Page School, there was a lockout due to ice activity there at the Justice Page Middle School on Nicollet Avenue, due to ice activity in the West 50th and Harriet Avenue part of downtown. There was also footage at 1:15, lots of things happening in the 1 o'clock hour here central. Footage was posted online of an ice operation around 34th and Park. So it continues, folks. There with this morning around 10:30, the ICE was deploying tear gas at protesters at Oakland Avenue and 34th Street. They were also deploying flashbangs and pepper balls at protesters. So it is by 10 o'clock in the morning, they were accruing a pretty big presence at Park Avenue and 34th Street, where we had protesters and observers that were blowing whistles and shouting at them, protesting their presence here.
I just want to mention the whistles a little bit. There's a specific purpose for those, and they're meant to communicate something very specific. So if you have a whistle, or if you hear the following things, this is meant to communicate something specific. If the feds are identified, seen in the neighborhood, blow 3 short bursts. That says, warning, get off the street, get the heck out of there. If you hear 2 long blows on a whistle, that means they're attacking somebody. And what you do about that is your business. But I think it's important that they're not just noisemakers meant to annoy people. They're meant to communicate to people, close up shop, get the heck out of there, put your windows down, lock your doors, get off the street. And it was very effective in Chicago. They would drive around these morons and they couldn't find anybody. We're kind of doing a little different thing, which I don't know how smart it is. We're all standing out on the streets protesting, and we're giving them lots of opportunity. So take that for what it is, but that's what those whistles are for. Get off the street. They're in the neighborhood, or there's something bad happening. So I would blow your whistles that way, would be my advice, to achieve something specific.
Overnight, thank you for that, Jim. Overnight, the president of the Minneapolis City Council was observing ICE activity in the northeast neighborhood next to Eastside Food Co-op. And ICE agents, apparently, as Elliot Payne, who is the president of the Minneapolis City Council, was posting on Blue Sky that he was videotaping ICE detaining a citizen at a bus stop in front of the co-op, and then they started pushing him. And he said, look, I'm the president of the Minneapolis City Council who was just there to legally observe, and they're shoving him around. He said in his Blue Sky post, quote, just think of what they're doing to everyone else in our city, end quote. So it's
criminal.
This is the activity that they are doing here right now. The big news that's coming out of Minneapolis today, however, is the U.S. attorney. Hang on here, folks. Let me pull up my notes. I have too many headlines open, and I just closed the wrong tab here.
Trump appointee,
Joe. Right? So Joe Thompson, he was the acting U.S. attorney until they confirmed David Rosen. He is the top fraud prosecutor here in the state of Minnesota. He was leading the charge on all the fraud investigations. Well, he has resigned today, effective immediately, along with 6 other attorneys in that office, so the U.S. Attorney's Office of Minnesota. And the reason why they are doing this is because apparently the Department of Justice didn't want to investigate Jonathan Ross, the ICE agent who allegedly killed Renee Nicole Good last week. But they also, apparently, part of the reason why they resigned was that DOJ wanted them to open an investigation into Renee Nicole Good's spouse.
Right.
And you can see her in some of the videos, particularly the video where we see her talking to Jonathan Ross as when he's going around the Renee's car, filming it. And then Renee Nicole Good's spouse is, engaging in conversation with him. And it's just more things coming out of officers, particularly legal, like people who are training, saying, why was this guy on his phone recording and also attempting to pull out his weapon? Like, that is completely against regulations and training. I've seen this now multiple times on different cable news outlets. But, Joe Thompson and the assistant U.S. attorney resigning today because of how the U.S. Department of Justice is handling the investigations, who they're choosing to investigate and who they're not choosing to investigate, I think it's the latest. It's got to be pretty bad, frankly, for 6 folks to resign.
Yeah, there's a story in Raw Story that goes into maybe some of where you're getting this, that there's this mass revolt of staff. And the problem in the Civil Rights Division, what they're having trouble with, is they can't find anybody qualified that wants to work for them. Now, that's been Trump's MO from the beginning. Good lawyers don't want to work for him. Crappy lawyers line up to work for him. So the same thing is that his poison has gotten into the Department of Justice, obviously, and now good lawyers, qualified lawyers to fill these positions, because people are this, what they call a mass revolt of staff, they can't refill the positions. So the ship is listing as his poison spreads around. And I think this is going to get to be a problem throughout, where there aren't enough terrible people to do terrible things, which is going to be really interesting to watch them flail around about that. What's scary is they'll put incompetent people in there, which puts all of us, as they have with ICE. They were literally recruiting people out of gun shows, layabouts that don't have a job. They give them a $50,000 bonus to join ICE, and 2 days later they're out pushing people around. So that's how bad our federal government has gotten under this joker for a year.
Well, interestingly, now I'm looking at Minnesota Public Radio news. So they are saying, in addition to Joe Thompson, who resigned, the other folks, Assistant U.S. Attorneys Melinda Williams, Harry Jacobs, and Thomas Calhoun Lopez, they said that not only so the reluctance to investigate Ross, the desire to try to open an investigation into Renee Nicole Good's spouse and wife, and also the fact that they excluded DOJ, the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, cut them out of the investigation. Minnesota Public Radio reporting that was also part of the reason why these 6 attorneys resigned. Also, NPR is reporting that there was a lot of concern that all of the immigration enforcement was diverting resources away from their ability to prosecute fraud cases in the state, which I think is just irony that the Trump administration claims that it is so concerned about fraud in Minnesota, and yet their ICE operations are taking away the ability to actually investigate those claims. So we're going to have more about the situation in the Twin Cities when we come back. You're listening to AM 950 Radio, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Theater in the Round Players is kicking off the year with a beautiful new production of How to Catch Creation. It's a soulful drama centered on the powerful legacy of a Black feminist writer from the 1960s. Her story reaches across time, weaving together the lives of 4 artists searching for art, family, and a place to belong. You'll be captivated by this profound exploration of identity. Experience How to Catch Creation at Theater in the Round, January 16th through February 8th. Tickets at theaterintheround.org.
I'm Beth Thompson, owner of Big Hill Books. Our fans call us the happiest bookstore in the Twin Cities. And honestly, we take that seriously. When the news gets grim, we choose joy. When things get dark, we read. So come meet Gigi the shop dog, our 2 feline co-workers, and maybe find your next favorite book. We're at 405 Penn Avenue South in Bryn Mawr, or bighillbooks.com. Say you heard about us on AM 950. We can't wait to meet you.
Peace of mind shouldn't cost a fortune. We keep things simple at Schroman Law because we believe planning for your estate and end-of-life care shouldn't be stressful or expensive. Every client relationship starts with a free consultation so clients have the information they need before making important decisions. From there, we work closely with clients to ensure they are choosing the most efficient and cost-effective plans for their specific needs. Schedule a free consultation today at schromenlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
Get ready to zoom into a world full of color, música, and alegría at Children's Theater Company. Go Dog Go, Ve Pero Ve is a bilingual musical bursting with playful, high-speed energy as dogs drive, swim, and race to the big dog party. This joyful espectáculo blends English y Espanol with expressive physical storytelling. Go Dog Go is sure to have you laughing, moving, and howling with delight. On stage January 20th through February 22nd. Tickets at childrenstheater.org.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. Pretty much everybody I talk to is ready to leave 2025 behind. So what better way to do that than quite literally have Zero Res come over and clean that 2025 dirt out of the house. Pretty much any surface in your home can be Zero Resified, from carpets, tile, rugs, upholstery, hardwood, and so much more. Zero Res can take care of it all, so it's time to call the cleaning pros. Start your freshest year yet in 2026 with Zero Res's biggest sale ever in celebration of the new year, and wash 2025 right out of your home with this deal. This month, you can get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $119 and a free hallway, plus 15% off regularly priced services like air ducts, upholstery, area rugs, tile, hardwood, and more. Call 952-ZERO-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com and ask for the AM 950 special. Backorder forward spells the same. Zero Res.
Welcome back to the Gailey Show. I am John Parker. We are coming up on the top of the hour. My executive producer, Jim Pounds, is here with me in studio, going over the latest from the mass resignation, at least 6 attorneys so far from the attorney's office in Minnesota due to the Department of Justice's decisions. 3 decisions. 1, not to investigate Jonathan Ross. 2, to try and open an investigation into Renee Nicole Good's wife. And the decision to cut out the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension from the investigation last week. Also concerns that all of the immigration enforcement is diverting resources away from their ongoing investigations into fraud allegations here in the United States, depending on who you're talking to, here in Minnesota. Also unclear now what happens to those investigations. Thompson alleged that it was getting into the billions of dollars of fraud. The Walz administration has very ardently said that the numbers that Thompson is putting forward are not true. So we will see what happens with those investigations. Obviously, when you lose 6 people out of an attorney's office, that makes a problem. Those cases will probably go on hold. And Jim, like you were saying just a few minutes ago, they are having problems retaining people.
Yeah, I think there were already a number of open positions, and what's starting to happen. You're seeing the same thing where we're going to use the Department of Justice to investigate the head of the Federal Reserve. They're just playing Trump's game show and making the Department of Justice look ridiculous. And so real attorneys are saying, I can do better in my state. I'm going to get out of here. This place is a cesspool. And I hope more attorneys quit, not because I don't want justice to be done, but justice isn't being done. Politics is being played, and that's not what they're for. And these people further down the line know that, and they're getting out. And I hope they leave. I hope they abandon it like the Titanic that it is. And they're going to be in real trouble. And, because the Department of Justice is going to grind to a halt. I hope it happens in large numbers. I encourage all decent attorneys to leave that horrible, horrible government in place now that we're all ashamed of. Any good person is ashamed of that government and working for them. And I know a couple of, John, we know a couple of people that work for the federal government. I would question, anybody staying in that situation, especially if you're being asked to do things that are wrong.
Yes, I can't say it any more succinctly than that. I do want to turn to some good news.
Oh, thank goodness.
There is some good news. So Mackenzie Scott, who is a billionaire.
This is good
billionaire
news?
philanthropist.
Oh, okay.
Just donated $45 million to the Trevor Project.
Oh, nice.
Announced today. The Trevor Project runs the crisis line for LGBTQ plus youth. They also do some really important research and organizing and educational effort. Quoted in the Associated Press, the CEO of Trevor Project, James Black, said, "I literally could not believe it, and it took some time. I actually gasped."
Yeah.
So folks who, and I had to look this up. Mackenzie Scott is a early contributor was married to Jeff Bezos, if I have my facts correct here.
That's right. Bill and Melinda Gates have also, back if you remember when Trump destroyed the organization that was doing foreign aid, which was helping stabilize countries in some terrible situations, and Trump destroyed that right at the beginning, and thousands of people have died as a result of that. Well, Bill and Melinda Gates gave a donation that would only make up about half of that funding. So there are, a small percentage, call it 4% of billionaires that are decent human beings. And there's a couple of good examples. They let them all step forward now and take something that he's destroyed and give it life. That would be a good use of their money.
She signed in 2019, apparently after announcing the terms of her divorce from Jeff Bezos, signed the Giving Pledge, which apparently billionaires signed to say we're going to give away at least half of our wealth over the course of our lifetime.
Right.
And on a website called Yield Giving, Scott shared details of the $19.3 billion that she has handed out to more than 2,500 nonprofits. Now, this is a big deal. I don't want to, take away from that. $45 million to the Trevor Project is excellent news.
Thank you.
I'm also of the economic mindset of no more billionaires. So that decision of that level of wealth should be democratically made, and that level of wealth concentration should not be one.
But that wasn't her doing. That was her filthy
it's just
ex-husband.
bonkers. When you look at the systemic issues, not just facing the queer community, but so many communities right now, and the money is there, and it's being held by this 1% of 1% of 1%. It's just
hideous, inhuman.
Yes,
this is the inhuman administration.
This is very good news for the Trevor Project, and so we're really going to look forward to see how this stabilizes their operations and how they can grow them going into the future.
Mm-hmm.
So that is going to wrap it up for us today. I do want to say that Jim and I are going to be at the Together We Win, Coming Together in Community and Care, which is being organized by Lambda Legal and locally by Outfront Minnesota. So that's going to be at Queermunity this evening. So we will be there reporting from that event. We'll share what we found here tomorrow on the show. But for right now, up next on WCPT 820 is Democracy Now! With Amy Goodman. In Minneapolis, on AM 950 radio, it is the Matt McNeil Show. Stay tuned after that for Native Roots Radio. And then at 10 p.m. Central, Step into the Unknown with Greg Bakken on Ghost Box Radio. And until this time tomorrow, keep it queer, America.
Keep it queer.